everyone, welcome to Hinduism question and answer sessions. Unfortunately, Padma couldn't make it today, so I'm going to cover her for today. My name is Sita. We've got some very interesting questions this week. The first one is about anxiety and internet addiction. It's an occupational hazard for focused young individuals who suddenly find themselves unable to concentrate on studies. If the goal is to grow spiritually, is there a way to overcome this, or is it better to work harder in a low-skilled career?
Look, if you're doing any work which makes you anxious, that means you're in the wrong field. Unless the work that you do is something that really engages your attention and makes you feel comfortable about yourself and more empowered about yourself, you are in the wrong career. I'm being very frank, because if anything is kind of putting you down, destroying your kind of self-confidence, then you are not making spiritual progress. So you should just try and I'm not saying go to a lower level of job, but find a job that in a way engages you and makes you feel comfortable about yourself and the work you are doing. In that case, you will make spiritual progress, feel more empowered, and don't feel kind of crushed by the system. So always be, aware that the thing within you is in a way telling you this is the wrong place, that this is creating anxiety for me. That means it is not something that's working for me. So let me change. Be ready to do that.
Okay, it's very interesting. Another question that we have is from Joel, who's watching from Germany. Why do people have different abilities? Some are clever, some are good at some things and not so good at other things. And does that mean that people have more spirit and some people have less spirit? And if this spirit is measurable, maybe it's not measurable, then why do we see so much variation in life?
Look, we agree with Darwin. Hinduism agrees with the idea that all of us have come out of a single cell being and gone through a whole series of different lives as insects, as animals, and so on. And you carry a lot of baggage. Sometimes it is counterproductive to our own progress, sometimes it is helpful. So it's not that you deserve something better or worse. It's simply that the journey that you have taken, the trajectory that you adopted in a way brings in a lot of baggage. So sometimes some people appear very dull, difficult, and some appear very sharp. It's just, if you like, good luck that they have come through a trajectory which has allowed them to kind of become very kind of well-focused and more advanced. It doesn't mean somebody is higher or lower. Simply everybody is making their own journey, and sometimes they go through a difficult patch. And again, we agree that the thing that is manifesting in all of us is the pure, pristine spirit, infinite power. And yet when it tries to express itself through this very kind of limited mind and body structure, in a way it kind of pays a price and becomes embroiled in what the mind, the body, the intellect tells him, and that in a way reduces his capacity. Everybody is essentially spiritual. They've got the potential of expressing this infinite power they possess, but unfortunately the encasement they have in a way restricts the way they express themselves. So we have to be aware of that.
That's very interesting. Another question from Joel. Is if life and species are so important, should we worry about global warming and the planet?
Yes, indeed. Why not? Even though, as you added in your question, the spirit is always, eternal, doesn't die if the body or the world even disappears. But that doesn't matter. The thing is, when the spirit is manifesting itself, becomes very valuable. So this valuable thing that is manifesting as humanity or as living kingdom should not be compromised or undermined. So global warming is a serious issue that we must address as spiritual beings, because the spirit will continue to survive even if the earth is destroyed. Yet the manifestation that we see should not be allowed to go to waste.
Another question we have is from Saurav Kumar Yadav. He says, like other Abrahamic religions, are Hindu texts the ultimate truth? And being a Hindu, can I disagree with certain things written in our Hindu texts and still be a proud Hindu?
Okay, first of all, I have said this before. We are so fortunate that we are not fixated on the scriptures. Many traditions are fixated on the scriptures, just the word of God, and you must follow it, and you can't interpret it, and you can't change it, etc. We are exactly the opposite. We say, no. As humanity continues to evolve, it produces modern proponents of spirituality who will present the same ideas suited to their own times, more contemporary times. So we are an evolving religion, and we are not stuck in a rut with some ancient scriptures. So what is the second pointed question you ask is this: look, there are some aspects of Vedas that I disagree with thoroughly. because they don't agree with my common sense. And does your religion allow you to disagree and still be a proper Hindu? Yes, because your religion says the following. Shruti, the Vedas, if you like, are the starting point of your spiritual journey. But then it comes with a second part. Yukti, use your common sense, your rationality to make sense whether what you're being dished out makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, your tradition says spit it out. So Shruti, Yukti, this is the progress that this is the method we adopt to make spiritual progress. So if you disagree with some part of the Vedas, look, I do, then happily carry on. Agree with the bits that agree with your own common sense and carry on.
Great. Another question we have is, what is the difference between Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma?
Yes, this confuses a lot of people. First of all, the word Hinduism, what is origin? Buddhism comes from the word, from the prophet called Buddha. The followers of Buddha are called Buddhists, and the religion is called Buddhism. Followers of Christ are called Christians, and this is Christianity. Now, Hinduism doesn't have that kind of background of some one individual prophet to set us off. The word Hindu is merely a mispronunciation of an ancient river that flowed in northwest part of India called River Sindhu. In Sanskrit means a vast amount of water. Now that river was mispronounced from Sindhu to Hindu. And that is how we acquired the name that we are Hindus. And then this particular name was again further mispronounced as Indus, from how it became So it became River Indus. It still flows in that part of the world. And the people of living across the river Indus were called people of Indo or India. So we acquired the name Hindu and the word India as a mispronunciation of the name of a river Sindhu. The tradition that we belong to, Dharma, is something different. It says really, it's not even a religion in the normal sense. Religion means realigning humanity with some super personality called God. We are saying, no, we are not that. Dharma means sorting ourselves out, sorting our human condition out. Who the heck are we? What are we doing here? How do we resolve our human condition? This is the definition of the word Dharma. So the word Dharma is a kind of much more, in fact, if you really look at the definition of the word Dharma, it is not any different from the word science, making sense of the world that we live in and sorting it out and using the information we learn for our betterment. Science is precisely that. So Dharma is really more related to the word science than the word religion. So be aware. And the word Hinduism is purely mispronunciation of the name of a river.
Okay, great. We have a lot of questions flooding in now. Why do we crack coconuts?
Okay, look, I always like to think for myself about all these things rather than just try and dig out some ancient scriptures and say, what is significance of coconut? They say it's a marvelous fruit. It has got, nice sweet drink inside, flesh to eat, nice covering that may use for other, human purposes. So it's a wonderful kind of complete fruit. So it's fine that we kind of give special reverence to the coconut. Fair enough. Why do we crack them? If it's such an important thing, then why do we crack it? This is the issue. And I think about these things very carefully. Look, the answer may rattle some of you, but so be it. In ancient times, when you were doing religious ceremonials, including suppose the marriage ceremony taking place, and before the bride moves on, etc., they will in fact sacrifice an animal. In fact, in the most of the ancient temples, you will find a stupa where they used to carry out animal sacrifice. So now we have moved on. We are evolving religion. So we don't do animal sacrifice anymore since the time of Buddha. Thank Buddha for that. So we stopped sacrificing animals, and yet somehow we wanted to show that we want to make some kind of sacrificial gesture when some religious ceremony is taking place. So what do? Instead of sacrificing an animal, we crack a coconut. Otherwise, you wasted the coconut. Why do you waste it? It's a carry-over of the idea of sacrifice. Very interesting thing. Look, you don't have to agree with me, but this is my take on it because I think about these things for myself and try and see if it makes sense to me.
Great. We have some more questions from Komal. Should we help others unconditionally and be selfless, even if we know they're taking advantage of our kindness? Or should we stand up for ourselves, be selfish, and learn to say no?
Look, we are thinking human beings, okay? Thinking animals. So we must, and please remember, the world is not geared here for your own convenience. It's a very jagged, very cruel, very hurtful world that we live in. There are always, people, even though we say spirit underpinning everybody, there are people who you have to be aware of. For example, my mentor Ramakrishna said, look, you can say there is a God in the tiger. Of course there is a God in tiger spirit. But you don't go and embrace the tiger, because he'll have you for lunch. So you put him behind bars and then go, namaste, there is God in you, but keep away. In the same way, I'm saying you'll meet human beings who can be genuinely sincere and good, require, if you like, your help, please help. At the same time, you will meet so many more individuals who are out for their own private personal need requirements, and they are suspect. So who chooses? I can't come and check for you, but you think for yourself. This is the beauty of this tradition. Think for yourself. If you think somebody is taking advantage of you, surely you must withdraw, because your spirit religion says that, look, don't undermine your dignity, your rational faculty, saying somebody is taking me for a ride, and I say, oh, let me carry on, because spirit, what spirit? You are spirit too. So show your spirit by, in a way, interacting very, very robustly, saying, I will only help if I feel this is the right thing to do, otherwise I'll withdraw, fold my hands and withdraw. Have the ability to do that.
Great. We've got some more questions from Narayan. He says, Hinduism says Vasudevam Kutumbakam, the entire world is my family, and this breaks down all barriers, including cultural, religious barriers, and it can maybe destroy our identity. Is it counterintuitive to have an identity or call yourself a Hindu when it can become an obstacle?
Again, you see, every time you draw a line, you create a controversy. Because when you draw a line, you create a divisive system. So the word Vasudeva Kutumbakam basically recognizes a unity underpinning this reality. There's some kind of deeper level at which we are all connected with each other, like it or not. This is the idea of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. That is perfectly good idea, it's a philosophic idea. At the same time, suppose you say, in that case, anything goes. It doesn't say anything like that. It says, follow a particular structured system of thought, and in a way this will bring in boundary. This will in a way kind of partition you, even though you don't want to be partitioned. But otherwise, how can you progress? So you need to kind of, if you like, polarize your ideas with some kind of identity. So I'm not saying give up your identity, saying everything goes, not everything goes, everything doesn't go. You think for yourself and continue to kind of subscribe to a particular polarization that will allow you to make spiritual progress.
Great. We've got another question from Anurag Shriva from India. What is the dress code of our culture, and do we need to follow it?
Again, why not? Look, in a way, all of us require some kind of identity. Look, I teach at Eton College, I wear a bow tie and all this kind of do la-di-da stuff. So we have some kind of identity issue. Now, the Hindus, because we are a very non-prescriptive religion, we do not impose certain, if you like, firm requirements for your dress code. But we do have some interesting thing. For example, on the forehead of all the people who belong to different sectarian movement, they'll put certain marks. So if you are a Vaishnavite, you might put a U sign, which means the footstep of Vishnu. If you belong to the Mother Goddess tradition, you might put a red dot in your forehead saying, I belong to the idea of ultimate reality as Mother Goddess. If you are a Shiva tradition, you might put 3 lines across your forehead with Bhashma, and this says in a way represents the Shiva tradition. So you may in a way have some kind of identity, not in your dress code, but in the kind of the symbols that you put or the marking you put on your forehead. That's the only thing I can say. There's nothing wrong. Suppose somebody says, I like to be traditionalist and I would like to wear Indian clothes and so on. I say, go for it, my friend. But there is no, if you like, a fixed prescription that you must follow to be a Hindu. You are allowed to think for yourself and play along.
Okay, great. We've got another question from Komal. Why do humans have the desire to be loved?
Look, this is not a negative thing. This is a very positive thing. The endearing feature about all living things, not only human beings, living things, is there is tremendous, if you like, compassion for the near and dear ones. It starts with the near and dear ones. You see an animal with a little child, the animal will kill itself to protect and look after the child, and sometimes starve itself to look after the baby. So, if you like, this is a natural, endearing feature to the whole living kingdom. And you might say, why? Why should we bother? Let them die. Oh, who cares? The answer is this. There is a link you have with the rest of the living kingdom, and this link becomes much more clearly visible with your near and dear ones. Less visible with people who are far away, means further away from you. So the near and dear ones you kind of subscribe to, you love them, and this shows, if you like, the natural link you already have with the, if you like, the other living things, including your family. So it's an endearing thing, a positive thing, showing in a way, if this is what humanists don't have. If you ask the British humanists, why should you look after others? You say, well, you just want to, kind of preserve the genetic pool. We say, no. The thing that is linking you with other living things is something called the spirit that underpins reality. It's not material, and the way it kind of expresses itself is this compassion that you feel. It's not because it's coming out of some material, phenomena. It's a non-material phenomena, a spiritual phenomena revealing itself a natural love for your near and dear ones.
Great, that's really interesting. We've got another question here. If God knows everything and controls everything, it's a very common question. Why does he choose to allow humans to suffer, and is he merciful?
Oh dear, oh dear. Please go and ask God, leave me out of this. He doesn't give me answers to such difficult questions. Look, this is a light-hearted answer, but the real answer is this. As I keep repeating, Hinduism comes in two flavors. Personality-oriented Hinduism and principle-oriented Hinduism. Personality-oriented Hinduism, which believes in a supreme personality, Vishnu, Shiva, fine. Mother Goddess is fine. But this philosophic issue will immediately will challenge these ideas of a personal God. The same question, if God is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-compassionate, why should a single living thing suffer for a single instant? He's all-powerful. Why for an instant? He's always making you strong. Why should he make me thump me like this? Not acceptable. So philosophically, a personality-oriented response is going to fall short of the target, guaranteed. No religion is given a positive answer. They always kind of give you a kind of a excuse, but it doesn't work. The principle-oriented Hinduism that I continually promote, and I say this is the deeper vision of Hinduism, it doesn't look for a supreme personality called God. It talks of a principle that underpins reality, and it just kind of manifests itself as a creation. This is a principle-oriented Hinduism. This can respond to this question in a better way. It says this is how the cookie crumbles. When the spirit manifests itself as the creation and the living thing in the creation, it pays a price, it gets whacked, it gets smacked. So in a way, it's a price paid by the spirit trying to manifest itself as a living thing. It pays a price. For example, when you get a thorn on your side, why do you feel pain? The thing that's manifesting is saying, look, you want to keep your body, then pull the thorn out. That's why it's going to be painful. So this is, if you like, the price we pay, if you like, the price the spirit pays, or the nice way Sri Ramakrishna put it, the tax we pay for having a body. You have to undergo suffering, physical suffering, old age, disease, etc. This is the price we pay. So here you can't blame a God. There's no God. It's just principle. This is how the cookie crumbles. This is how the spirit manifests, and kind of pays a price for it. But the deeper question, why does it manifest? Don't ask me that one.
Okay. We've got another question from Sarabjit Roy. What does it mean when one is called a Manglik? And how do you think Mars or any celestial body affects?
Look, I'll be very frank. I'm not a person in love with astrology at all. The reason is this. Astrology was a science we tried and tested, in the sense that we actually carried out an experiment in ancient India, where for a few hundred years, we observed the lives of lots of various people who were born under specific planetary horoscopes, and we tried to see if there's some kind of interrelationship between the planetary position and the way the life is led. The person who actually set up this particular phenomena, in fact, himself rejected it, because in his daughter's case, it failed. So he rejected himself, and I rejected right from day one, saying that why should you think that some planetary position, etc., is going to decide whether you're Manglik or not a Manglik, etc. I would say avoid this superstition. Grow out of it. You are the spirit. These planets cannot impose themselves on you. You can impose yourself on the planets. Try and recognize your own dignity and divinity and assert it. This is the idea of spirituality. This is the idea of Hinduism. Assert it. Don't be under the misguided idea that some planets are controlling your life. No, grow out of it, my friend. Grow out.
Yes, I totally agree with that. We've got another question from Krishna Reddy from Berlin. What is the true role of action and inaction in regards to non-dual Brahman, when there is still a difference in my everyday experience in separation between knowledge, knower and known?
Oh, it's a very philosophical question, a very subtle question. You see, first of all, the first biggest division we have, beginning of creation, is division between subject and object, knower and known. What is known and who is the knower? This is the beginning of spirituality. In fact, this is how, if you like, the beginning of Hindu philosophy. We started with Rishi Kapil. For the first time, a person was able to, in a way, disassociate himself from the world that he was observing. This is ancient Kapil. So the first, if you like, division when manifestation takes place is this division of subject-object. And this is the beginning of Hinduism, saying that the person who is observing, is different from what I am observing. So I'm not the body, the mind, or the intellect. This is the beginning of Hinduism. This is the beginning of true Hinduism. All the gods and goddesses came afterwards. But I won't go into great detail regarding how this particular metaphysical phenomena can be explained to take hours. So I will just give you a short answer saying this is the beginning of, if you like, the Sankhya darshan of the Hindus.
Brilliant. We've got another question from Gunnar Rathinam. What is your view? I think you'll like this question. What is your view on Swami Vivekananda?
Oh, I got excited. Look, if you ever hear anything from my lips which appear to be sensible, know for sure this is called plagiarism in English. Very tough word, which means I have stolen the idea from somebody else. And that somebody else, happily I put my hands up, is Vivekananda. Blame him. Anything that comes out from me, please know, especially the good stuff, that is come from Vivekananda. The nonsense I put across, sometimes the waffle I give you, is really my contribution. So I am completely in love with this grand personality of modern. In fact, look, the modern Hindus have not recognized the true grandeur of this majestic personality of modern India. Do you know how it will get recognized? Is when the whole world will focus on it. It will happen. It happened when he came to Chicago in 1893. The whole world was first time charged up by this super personality. But then somehow we kind of got up with this materialistic kind of, enterprises. But again, the world is now going to turn and say, look, if you're really looking for spirituality in this day and age, the material that came from Vivekananda is the best way to relate, take whole of humanity back to spirituality, and not this very crass, kind of superficial culture that we kind of live in at the moment.
Great. We've got a question from Bhavna Ben Parmar from Slough. What is life after death as per Hinduism compared to other religions like Christianity, Islam or Buddhism?
I'll give a very short answer. There are three worldviews regarding what happens to us after we die. First is the atheistic worldview, which most humanists will subscribe to, which says that you get snuffed out, Mr. Lakhani, nothing remains. Haven't you noticed? You get snuffed out and you can be cremated and boom, you're just, dust is gone. This is one view. There's nothing is left. It gets snuffed out. All your me and my individuality, my intellect, all gets snuffed out. This is one view. The second view is, if like from the Abrahamic tradition, which means Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they talk about this life and the next everlasting life. It doesn't stop at all. It goes on for infinite years. And either if you're a goody-goody, you go to heaven and have fun with God forever and ever. And if you're a baddie, oh dear, you are then roasted forever and ever in hell. Now this is the Abrahamic vision. I think the reason why they brought this in is simply to keep the devotees in line, make sure they don't sit on the fence. That's, you must be devout, otherwise we go to hell forever. And this is horrible. I mean, how can God send anybody to eternal hell, however bad the person is? So anyway, this is the Abrahamic vision. The third vision we have from the Indic religions, which is Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, is the idea of reincarnation. The Buddhists call it by a different name called rebirth. The idea that the thing that is living here, the mental mood that I possess, doesn't get snuffed out when I die. It tries to find re-expression in another body. So it looks for another, if you like, there is a period of rest, and then after the rest, that individual is reborn again, as most probably as a human being, and continues his spiritual progress from where he left off. And the character is chiseled in one life is the only thing that comes with him from this life to the next life, and this is how his law of karma catches up, because he's chiseled his character. That character will give him certain qualities in his next life. That's why he gets his benefit of the work he put in this life, in his next life. This is the idea of reincarnation. This goes on. If it goes on forever, it will be like a prison. It comes to a halt when you recognize, oh dear, actually I don't need to be born, I am the spirit. And when you don't believe in it, just experience it, then the cycle of reincarnation stops, and that's called moksha, end of delusion. I don't need to be chasing after chocolate cakes anymore. I've done it.
Hopefully we'll get there one day. Next question is quite a deep question from Kumaril Dave. What is the foundation of self-knowledge?
Okay, look. First of all, human beings like to make sense of the world outside themselves. So they look at the universe, look at the laws that operate here, the wind, the fire. This is how all the religions and all the ancient traditions started, trying to make sense of the world that we live in. Without rules that operate in the world outside, how can I harness them for my betterment? So let me do some havan and please Agni and Indra and Vayu and Varun and so on. This is how it started. But then a question arose. This is the beginning of real Hinduism. Until that, Hinduism was materialistic. The Nyaya Vaisheshika philosophy were materialistic. They didn't believe anything more, just atoms and Anu and Parmanu. And then when we discovered with ancient Kapil, this idea of Sankhya Darshan, that there is something more to me than matter. I'm not an output of matter, and I hope Richard Dawkins, looks at this philosophy. We are more than matter, and this is not just belief system. I believe it. Actually, you experience it. You actually see yourself separated from your mind, and look, it's real. When you separate yourself from your mind and body and intellect, you suddenly discover, why? I'm something grand and great. Just imagine you're freed from your body, even your intellect, your knowledge. It's so trivial. You like fluff. You just throw it away. And then you discover your true nature is the spirit. This is the beginning of self-realization or self-knowledge. When we discovered our essential nature as the underpinning to this creation, so we are linked with the whole of this creation, we then have access to the knowledge of the whole creation. That is how we acquired all this marvelous knowledge of Sankhya Darshan, and if you like, ancient ideas of Sankhya and ancient ideas of yoga and Vedanta philosophy, is through self-exploration. Our journey was looking inward, and we found the answer to the whole of this creation by looking at the inner structure we possess, the mind that we possess. This mind is not just me; it is, if you like, cosmic mind. Once we get, in knowledge of that, we can understand anything in this world. That is how we learned. Had such wonderful material coming out of ancient India.
Great. We've got one more question from Komal. When they say that God lives within our hearts, what exactly does that mean? And in what form does God live within us?
Okay. Now you see, there are some scriptures will say God is the size of a thumb in Upanishad, etc. But look, this is purely symbolic. Watch it. Because the thing we are saying is our true nature is without shape, without form, without any attributes. Nirgun, Nirakar. That is our true nature. So when we say it lives in your heart, it is just a symbolic gesture, because heart seems to be our central thing that's kind of vibrating and kind of pumping our blood and making us come alive. So we kind of link it with the idea of the heart. At the same time, when you are actually successful in Raj Yoga, certain activities do take place in your physical body, which kind of starts at the base of your spine and then moves up, goes to the heart center, to the neck center, to the head center, etc. So there is actually some kind of link with the physical body that you have. But the spirit we are talking about is Nirgun Nirakar. So you can't say it stays in one part of the finger or one part of the heart where it's pumping. It is everywhere and nowhere. It is Nirgun Nirakar. But it uses the mind and the body to express itself. And actually when you are successful in Raj Yoga, in experiential religion, you do actually feel that somehow the thing that's kind of stirring up within you, you can actually pinpoint it and can touch base with it. It's like a powerful electric shock going through your backbone. It can happen.
We've got another question from Anita Basi, who's a regular viewer. What is the point of life in regards to Hinduism, and how and why were we created? So it's a big question.
I have no answer really. Always nice to be aware that there are certain questions that cannot be answered. It's not because, we are trying to fob you off, we don't want to tell you the real answer. The reason is because this question will remain unanswerable. One of the previous questions did say about subject-object divide, but the question is, why did we start the journey of becoming subject-object in this creation and go through this world which is quite canterous, quite hard and quite jagged and quite cruel? Why do we take this journey if we are the spirit, we are Atman? Why should we bother? This question remains unanswered, not because we are trying to fob you off. The reason is this. When creation comes into being, three things unfold. I keep repeating: space, time and causation. Desh, Kal and Nimit. The idea of cause and effect, something must have a cause and something must have a reason, comes with the Big Bang. So if the question arises, why the Big Bang? Why does this unfold like this? That particular part will remain unanswerable because causation comes after Big Bang, and you can't ask the question, why the Big Bang? So this question remains unanswered, not by me, by modern physics too. How did this Big Bang start? What triggered it? The answer says Hinduism, causation comes with the Big Bang, so you can't ask the question. Just as you can't ask the question what was there before Big Bang, because there was no time, there was no causation, so you can't even ask what caused it. So this idea will remain unanswerable, not because we are running away from it. It is reality. It will remain unanswerable forever and ever, not because we are running away, because causation comes after Big Bang. So then the world that we see has got this causation, but the thing that started off doesn't have it. That's the problem.
It's really interesting, really deep. We've got another question which I think you'll like, from Gunnar Retinam. There are theories that Swami Vivekananda is an incarnation of Lord Shiva. What is your view on this?
I agree. Look, when you look at the image of Swami Vivekananda sitting in meditation, and this is an interesting image. You've seen that image, wearing white clothes and sitting in meditation. You may think this was taken in the Himalayas somewhere, sitting in deep meditation in Kedarnath cave or something. No, that picture was taken in Piccadilly in London. This is the story. When he was giving a lecture on Raj Yoga in London in 1896, I think, while he was talking, he said, let me show you what is meditation like. And then he closed his eyes and went into deep meditation. When a genuine person goes into deep meditation, you can't disturb him. He becomes like a piece of stone. You can't touch him. You can kill him. He won't move it. He won't budge. Because he's left his body. He's left linked with his body. So he was like the sitting, trying to explain meditation, and went into deep meditation. And the audience doesn't know what to do. So they brought in a photograph and said, take a picture of this guy. This is how that picture came into being. Piccadilly, not Himalayas, London. But this picture in a way shows, if you look at the majesty of that image, look at them. This is the real picture of a real yogi in deepest of meditation. You will not find it anywhere. Real photograph, not just imaginary painting by an artist. Real photograph of a great master in deep meditation, visible. Now, when you look at that image and look at the image of Shiva as Yogi Raj, sitting in deep meditation in Kailash, I can't see the difference. People say, Mr. Lakhani, how do you look at Vivekananda? I say, look, a piece of Shiva that fell down to earth appeared as Vivekananda.
That's really inspiring. We've got another question here from Arjun Chapokin. As I'm a Hindu, I just want to explore my religion. So how do I start my journey? Do I need to go to the Vedas and the Upanishads?
Okay. As I said, our religion is a living tradition. I also was brought up as a devout Hindu, and I started with stories of Purans, stories of Ramayana and the Mahabharata, Itihas. So I started my journey just like most youngsters do. But youngsters of today do not have the time to go through this ancient storytelling part, because they prefer Star Wars and stuff like that. So what do? Should we go and dig out the old Vedas and look at the ancient Sanskrit and try and interpret it? And what does this mean? These are aphorisms, short phrases. How to interpret them? If you look at some of the Upanishads, they are very poetic but very difficult to interpret. What should you do? Should you abandon the Upanishads? No. They are a wonderful way of latching on to your inheritance. So don't stop looking at the Upanishads. Are the best source of spiritual, if you like, deeper vision of Hinduism. But then I'm saying, my friend, look. Here are modern proponents of Hinduism. I'll give you 2 or 3 names. Like, for example, Ramana Maharshi, Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. You see, these are enlightened people in our own times. And when they give expression to their spiritual experience, this becomes the modern Vedas. This is the definition of Vedas. What comes out of the lips of a rishi, a person who is experiencing the spirit, becomes the Vedas. These are modern Vedas. So you can say, no, I want to look up the ancient Sanskrit and learn the Panini, Vyakaran, Grammar. Good for you, but I'm saying, look, here in your language, in your times, in a way that makes sense to you, why do you want to abandon that and say, old is gold, let me go back? I'm saying, look at the modern proponents. I'm not saying just focus on Vivekananda because I like him. Focus on any individual that you feel is spiritually enlightened. And if you like, focus on his teachings. More important than his teaching is his life. Look at his life. That will thrill you. If you are serious about spiritual journey, the lives of Ramana Maharshi, of Vivekananda will thrill you. Go for it, my friend. This is the best way to start your spiritual journey.
Great. So please do continue to watch us, like and share and comment where you're watching us from. We're coming to the end of our session. This question is from Bhavna Ben Parmar. Does the soul enter the mother's womb during conception, or does it join the body during the baby's birth?
You see, this question does bother a lot of Hindus, and the Shastras give different ways of defining when the individual soul enters the body. They say when the baby starts kicking, that's when the soul enters. Now, I think about all these things for myself. I'm always like that. I don't like to, just because you've written some Shastras. Shastras are really outdated material mostly, so I'm not too focused on the Shastras. I like to think for myself. Now, the positive thing is this. We recognize that, for example, when you are exploring the theory of reincarnation by Ian Stevenson, we recognize that if a person has been shot or kind of wounded, when he's reborn, that person reborn, he has a birthmark in that place. So I tell myself, now how does this happen? Does it happen after 7 months, etc.? The birthmark begins to appear right from time of conception. So I'm saying that individual, when it becomes associated with a particular conception, right at the time of conception, then the individual becomes kind of linked up with that particular conception. It starts, gastrulation is the word they use in biology. All the cells start dividing and subdividing and producing, forming the newborn baby. So just at that time, that individual is already interacting with that embryo and kind of designing the embryo in a way that suits his own temperament, his own character, of course, the genetic material from the parents. So the embryo is already dictating the way the embryo is kind of growing. So that is why the birthmark appears right from the start, because if you like, the individual has carried the marks of his previous life. And this, the reason why I believe in the idea that the time of conception, that individual has entered the new embryo is because of this theory of Professor Stevenson that shows birthmarks are very important. So this is how I kind of come to that conclusion. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I must thank Nishit Bhai as usual for the technical support and Sita for stepping into the last moment. Anyway, see you next Saturday. Namaste.